morning, good afternoon, good evening. Zimbabwe is a failed state. But how much of it is because of our failure to apply what one may call common sense? This dead horse theory is all about common sense. The horse is dead, and yet you'll hear somebody saying, well, let's buy a stronger whip. And the other one saying, let's brand it as living impaired. Or forming a committee to start the horse. Those are some of the problems that have held us back. Just a lack of common sense. Say, okay, the horse is dead. None of these solutions are offering anything. But we are a nation that after 45 years, we have been participating in flawed elections, flogging the dead horse, because we believed somebody who told us that they will win rigged elections. It's mind-boggling. It really is mind-boggling. I think as a nation, we have failed to apply common sense. And this is the reason why we are where we are. ZANU PF leaders themselves, of course, they have believed that they have the divine right to rule the country. And although their policies have failed again and again, they have always come back and said they'll correct them. And they are the ones who should rule the country. It's okay for them because the consequences of their economic failures have not affected them. The ZANU PF leaders themselves are doing very well, thank you, at us, the ordinary people's expense. What we have got to accept here is that they do not feel the consequences of their failure, and therefore then they will never change. So the problem for us is to say, okay, the regime has failed, it's a dead horse. We cannot be stuck with him. But as long as ZANU PF is able to rig the elections, we are stuck with them. And the real problem here is, why have we accepted that situation for 45 years and counting? ZANU PF has been rigging election for the last 45 years. Some people argue, and rightly so too, that yes, people realize that the problem of ZANU PF rigging the elections is a serious problem. And by the late 1990s, they decided that they've got to do something to stop ZANU PF rigging the elections. The option was either to wage another war of liberation, fight the regime the same way the nation had fought Ian Smith, or to elect competent opposition leaders who will implement the reforms and end the dictatorship. The second option was a sound one, and it could have worked if we had elected opposition leaders who implemented the reforms. MDC-CCC have been elected on the ticket to bring about democratic changes. As the party name implies, Movement for Democratic Change. But after 25 years, without not even one token reform implemented, are we not flogging a dead horse? I believe we are. This particular post I have was being circulated by Change Radio. Many of you will be familiar with Change Radio, led by Chief Svosve. I found this ironic because Chief Svosve and this Change Radio have been the cheerleaders of Nelson Chamisa and his MDC-CCC. Chief Svosve and Change Radio have called Chamisa Change Champion in Chief. Each time you ask them, so what is Chamisa and MDC changed in 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU? Just name one thing they've changed. Because if they had implemented the democratic changes, ZANU PF would not be blatantly rigging the elections. That's the argument. Of course, it's failed to name one thing. Because they have not implemented any reforms. Indeed, they've been participating in these flawed elections, knowing fully well that the process is flawed, knowing fully well that by participating, they're giving ZANU PF legitimacy. They have participated out of greed. But to their supporters and the rest of the nation, they've lied. They've wanted to give the impression that they were participating in these flawed elections because they were going to win. In 2023, Chamisa was insisting that CCC was going to win big because the party, or rather he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes to stop ZANU PF rigging the elections. Of course, he was lying, as we later on found out. Within a day or two of the voting, he was the one complaining that ZANU PF had rigged the elections. Complaining that ZANU PF had rigged the same elections that he said he had plugged the vote rigging loopholes. The real deception here is that the people themselves have believed that MDC-CCC will implement the democratic changes the nation has been dying for. That is the big mistake. And so we have been flogging the dead horse, MDC-CCC, to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. It's dead. We're wasting our time. The ancient Greeks were right that democracy, as defined as the government of the people, by the people, for the people, only works if the said people are educated, knowledgeable, and they are objective. Because you need all those qualities to diligently hold those in positions of power to account. The people themselves, yes, this democracy, you've got a government of the people, by the people, although the people themselves are not the ones who are governing. You elect representatives to carry out the day-to-day tasks of government, of governing the nation. Your responsibility as the people is to hold those people to account. And if you are not knowledgeable, instead of you holding the leaders to account, they will take advantage of you. And you end up flogging a dead horse. And I think this is where we have to learn. At the present moment, the ruling elite have the thick end of the whip. They are the ones who are telling the people what to do, calling them to do A, B, C, D, even if it's not in their own common interest. They're taking advantage of your ignorance. If the people want to hold the leaders to account, they have to get hold of the thick end of the whip. And that they can only do if they take the trouble to be educated, knowledgeable, and objective. And then carry out their secret duty of holding the leaders to account. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.